What's up everybody, Devin James here. Today I have 8 quick tips on how to get started investing in your first rental property. This is a very exciting avenue to generate consistent cash flow or profit on a monthly basis, as well as accumulate a massive amount of wealth over the long term. Step number 1, mindset. You'll need to develop a winner's mindset in order to invest in real estate. The mindset to continue to move forward. There are going to be problems and obstacles and challenges that are going to come your way when looking at property. And you need to be able to overcome those. One of the many challenges is you'll need to make multiple offers. You'll need to do a ton of work, analysis, and stuff like that on the front end before you ever win your first deal. You might need to submit 20, 30, 40 offers before you actually get one of those accepted. I also recommend reading some books, right? Getting your mind right. Recommend Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's a fantastic book generally on finance. He does talk about real estate in there, but it's generally about mindset. It's generally about how to think properly about money, how to think like Rich Dad, right? Another book that I recommend is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is a fantastic book to teach yourself how to deal with individuals, because ultimately at the end of the day, real estate and pretty much any other venture that you're going to undertake is about relationships. It's about working with other people and dealing with other people. This is an absolutely critical book to success in really anything. Another book that I recommend is called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. This is an amazing book that really gives a lot of insight. It goes a little bit deeper than the Win Friends and Influence People book on psychology and how we are created as human beings and how our brains work and our minds work and how we think about decisions that we make, mostly subconscious. So being able to understand that is absolutely critical in negotiation and stuff like that. Another book that I'll recommend is Think and Grow Rich. It's an absolute classic book here. This is really about having the correct mindset for success, and really with real estate investing or anything in your life, mindset is absolutely critical, guys. So I highly recommend reading some of these books. Good habits are also critical in your journey. So developing the proper diet, getting an exercise routine, and developing a regular schedule. These are all things that are super critical to success in really anything, and also in real estate investing. So if we don't have the right routine and habits and schedule and stuff like that, to carve out 2 hours a day or whatever to focus on real estate investing, analyzing deals and putting out offers and stuff like that, then all of this is really for nothing. So it all starts with mindset. Step number 2 is we need to define goals. What is your goal? Why are you investing in a rental property? What is your ultimate objective? For me, I want to generate passive income so that one day I wake up and I don't have to work if I don't want to. Now, once I get there, I hope that I'll move on to the next goal and then the next goal and the next goal. But as of right now, that is 100% the priority and why I wake up every day and why I call myself a real estate investor, is to generate that passive income. Now, your goals might be different. It might be purchasing a Lamborghini, or it might be retiring, and that's totally fine. So we just have to make sure that those goals then translate into the type of real estate that we're going to be investing in, how often we're going to be investing, how hard we're going to be working in that, and stuff like that, right? Once you write down and define your goal, the next is to determine the property that you're going to be purchasing, or the properties that you're going to be purchasing, in order to help you achieve that goal. If your goal is you want to be a millionaire next year, that might be a little bit tough depending on the situation that you're in right now. But what that tells me is that you've got a tremendous amount of work to do, right? You're going to be devoting 80 hours a week to this. You're going to be getting investors. You're going to be probably purchasing like a commercial building or something like that, right? So it really defines kind of what your strategy is going to be, starting with your goal. I invest in single family homes, typically 3-bed, 2-bath. The ideal starter home for a family might be a young couple looking to start a family, or just a small family renting that house. And it's around the median income price out here in Phoenix, Arizona, is the place that I like to invest in. That way, the demand is usually always there. It's pretty high. If I improve the property a little bit, I can get substantial more out of the property for the rents, and usually that is a great cash flow generating vehicle for me. So it is really whatever suits your objectives and your goals. Next is you need to find your location. You need to carve out a section that you think would be great for rental properties. And it's quite easy to identify that. Is it next to a busy shopping center? Are you in next to a university? What's the job market look like? What's the growth of the economy in that area look like? Are there any new developments happening in that region? If cranes are usually a good sign, right? Are they building like crazy in that neighborhood? Is there a petroleum or nuclear plant going in, right? That might be a very horrible thing for your rental value. So maybe you want to look into that type of stuff. I ask myself, would I be happy in this location? And if the answer is yes, then typically my tenant is going to be happy in this location. So it's a very simple exercise. Just put yourself in your tenant's shoes. Make sure that the property and the location you're happy with, you would live there. If so, other people would probably live there as well. Number 3 is funding. We'll need to figure out how you're going to purchase the property and to get pre-qualified. I would suggest meeting with a mortgage broker or banker and just having them qualify you. Looking at your situation, your income, just to get an idea of what types of loan programs you qualify for. If you were active military, you could qualify for a VA loan. You could potentially have a 0% down payment. If it's your first home, you can qualify for an FHA, get a down payment as low as 3.5%. Some conventional loans, if you have a tremendous credit score, you can qualify for as low as 3% on a down payment. However, for all of those programs that I just mentioned, you would have to live in the home. So if one of your strategies is, hey, I'd love to house hack, I'd love to buy a duplex, maybe rent out the other side, this is absolutely a fantastic option to get started investing in real estate. I highly, highly recommend it. But if you're in a situation where you already own a home and you're looking to purchase an investment property, the loan programs that are available to you might be more like an investment loan option, which is you're looking at least 20% on the down payment side. So meet with your mortgage broker, tell them your situation, let them know where you're at financially. Be honest with them, guys. There's no reason to mislead or overstate your income and stuff like that. We're gonna figure that out anyway, so you've got to be honest up front about your situation. I highly recommend pulling your credit on Credit Karma or checking your credit on Credit Karma. It's not really a pull. And just go ahead and give your mortgage broker the number. Just let them know, hey, I've got like 720 or something like that. Can you run the numbers, just plug that in and let me know what I qualify for. That would be a great way to save your credit report from a hard pull. They can actually just run that number without having to pull your credit until you're actually ready to purchase the home. The other option that I'll mention is seller owner financing. This is something that I see sometimes, but it's very, very rare, and it really depends on the market condition. If you have a property that is not so attractive, maybe it's run down, maybe it's nobody's really interested in it, right? The seller may consider to do seller financing. The other stipulation is that the seller may not want to take the capital gain hit. They may not want to take the money out. They don't need it for whatever reason. Again, that's why this is kind of rare. And you could negotiate with the seller and say, hey, would you be the bank for me? I'll make payments to you. I'll give you a light down payment, and you have a little bit more negotiation with the seller as you would versus like a bank, for example. So you could negotiate a lower down payment. You could say, hey, I'll pay you, $1,500 a month for this property. That's like, a 3% interest rate or whatever. And in the back end that you'll be able to get $1,800, so you'll just bank the difference and stuff like that. So definitely consult an attorney if you're gonna go down the seller financing route. When you have your pre-qualification letter, you are ready to start making offers, which is a huge, huge step. Number 4 is finding a real estate agent. Real estate investing is about building a quality team. One key member of that team is your real estate agent. Real estate agents can provide you streams of deals. So in step number 2, we defined our goal and our strategy and the property that we want to invest in. Now you need to give that to your real estate agent and say, hey, this is my investment criteria. This is the deal that I want. This is the property that I'm ready to buy. Look, I'm pre-qualified. I'm ready to submit offers, right? Real estate agent's gonna say, that's fantastic. And they're gonna set up a stream of deals that match that criteria direct to your inbox. And in most cases, that stream of deals can be quicker than, say, Zillow and Realtor.com and other things like that. This is coming straight from the MLS. So you are actually seeing this and having a competitive edge upon other investors that are looking in Zillow and stuff like that for the next big deal. Having the real estate agent in your back pocket is a fantastic way to jump on these deals right when they pop on the market. Trust me, we have a very hot market right now in Phoenix where deals are popping up and they're off the market in like literally hours, or they have multiple offers already sitting within hours, right? So it's very timely. You need to be very quick on your toes and ready to submit offers. A real estate agent can really help you do that. It's very important to select a real estate agent that is good at communication and good at negotiation. This is one key value add, because hiring the wrong real estate agent that is not good at negotiation or not good at communication can actually hurt you in the long term. So make sure that you do your due diligence, interview real estate agents before you decide to commit to one. Number 5 is analyzing the deal. This is the number one skill any real estate investor needs to have, and it's super, super critical when purchasing your first rental property. Without knowing how to properly calculate numbers and account for all of your expenses and verify all of the income and stuff like that on property, real estate investing can turn very, very bad very, very quick for you. Most individuals that are posting properties online, if it's up for sale, they're using numbers that might be a little bit inflated. It's not like people are trying to, get one over on you. Maybe they are, but we need to make sure that we're verifying, cross-referencing, doing our own calculations and doing our own numbers to make sure that the deal is actually makes sense for us, right? So just keep in mind, list price is totally irrelevant in what you purchase the property for. If somebody is posting a property up for sale for 200 grand, that's great. I usually don't even look at that number. I'm looking at the calculations behind it to say, okay, what is this property worth to me, right? And to every individual investor, the property is probably going to be worth something a little bit different based on your own specific criteria. And if you have the right real estate investor, he can kind of help you with this, giving you like, hey, the average capitalization rate in this area is X, so this is what you could be expecting, stuff like that. So make sure that you're working with a quality agent and advisor that can help you through this process. There's 2 main numbers that you need to be interested in when calculating or analyzing your deal. Those are monthly cash flow. You're taking the income minus the expenses, that's the cash flow for that property. The second calculation is cash on cash return. This is critical because this tells you the return that you're getting on the cash that you're putting into the deal. The key is verifying everything. We trust the numbers that we're looking at and that were presented to us, but we verify everything in extreme detail. That is absolutely, absolutely critical. My most recent property, we put a down payment of about $20,000 and put about $20,000 in improvements in that property. That means I have all in $40,000, call it, on that property. On a monthly basis, I generate about $700 in cash flow on that property. That's after I've paid all of my expenses. So if I take the number of 700 times 12, I end up with $8,400. If I take $8,400 and divide that by the cash that I have invested, which is $40,000, I get a return of about 20%. So my cash on cash return for my most recent single family home is about 20%, which is fantastic for me. Another example is I did a land contract this year. Essentially, I did seller financing. So I purchased some land and then I am financing that land out to the buyer. And on that deal, my cash on cash return is actually 100%. So in the matter of 1 year, I would have recouped all of my original investment. And then the next 5 years is just pure profit on that deal. Number 6, make that offer. Now, I know a lot of investors get paralyzed at this point, and it's very terrifying to make your first offer on a property, but I have to tell you to not be terrified. Don't be afraid. If you don't make offers, you will never get the property. You'll never get the deal. And guess what, guys? You have to submit at least 10 offers before you're going to get a deal. At least. Yes, you might get lucky. You might get an offer accepted. In the market that I'm in right now in Phoenix, guys, like if you're not submitting 10 to 20 different offers on a property, you're not going to get a deal. You're not going to get a property. So you must get comfortable submitting offers. I would say if you are pre-qualified, you've got your real estate agent, you're ready to go, you're ready to close, you're analyzing deals on a daily basis, I would be at submitting an offer every week at least, guys. This is super critical to the process, okay? You need to get comfortable with rejection. This is a big part of real estate investing. You are going to get turned down a lot of times and you need to be able to not take that personally. It's nothing against you. It's all about the numbers and the calculations. And if you are looking out for your own best interest and you're confident in your numbers, therefore generating your offer price, then you should have nothing to feel bad about. Whether it's a lowball offer or not, it doesn't matter. The other thing that I want to mention is recognize that when you do submit an offer and you go under contract, that doesn't mean that the process is over and there's no way that you can get out of the deal. There are 1,000 ways that you can still get out of the deal. Going under contract or submitting your offer and getting it accepted is actually just the first step of the process. And there are so many ways that you can still get out of that deal if there's something that was totally unexpected for you. There are tons of legitimate ways to get out of the deal. For example, you go into inspection, you find out the roof is caving in, or you find out that there's asbestos all over the attic or something like that. You can get out of the deal for any one of these reasons, and having the right agent on your side, they're going to be able to coach you through this process and help you. So once we order the inspection, we can figure out, hey, all of this stuff, there's like way too many things wrong with this place. I didn't realize that. We want to just like get out or whatever, right? So don't feel like making an offer you are done with the process, right? And it's over and you have to analyze everything before you do the offer. No, that's not the case actually at all. You make the offer and then you start analyzing everything in extreme detail. So at the point where you're making the offer, you're pretty comfortable with the deal, and based on the numbers and everything that the seller and listing agent has provided, it all makes sense. But guess what? A lot of times what the numbers the sellers and the listing agent provide to you just aren't correct, right? So a lot of things can change once you submit that offer. But you have to submit that offer first. You have to submit the offer in order to get started with that process. Once you get an offer accepted, you're going to need to commit to that property with earnest money. So make sure that you have earnest money sitting around. This is typically 1% of the purchase price that you're looking for. So you're going to need to put some skin in the game, right? And yeah, so if like the inspection didn't go right or something like that, you will get your earnest money back to pull out of that deal. But if you just walk away from a deal for no reason, the seller gets to keep your earnest money. So definitely make sure that this is a real thing. When you're making offers, you are actually committing. So make sure that you're ready to put down earnest money. Make sure that you're ready to pay for the inspections. It really pays off to do your analysis and spend a tremendous amount of time in the beginning analyzing a deal. It pays off so much more than being surprised on the back end because you didn't spend enough time looking into the property and something like that. We never want to be in a situation like that, guys. I really see this point as the second round of negotiation. So for a lot of my clients, this is the point in time where we're able to knock a little bit off of the overall purchase price, even get the seller to throw in some seller concessions, maybe even get the seller to repair some of those items if they are like safety, real, violations and concerns and stuff like that. But this is really the second time that you get to hit the negotiation table, which the more times you can hit that negotiation table and have valid reasons like, hey, this number didn't make sense, or hey, this thing is all, the roof's about to cave in. I don't know why I keep using the roof caving in example. It's the only thing I could think of right now, even though there's like 1,000 other things. We can always go back to the negotiation table and we can bring a little bit more off that price. Be comprehensive in the due diligence process. If your property is in an HOA, call up the HOA and ask them, figure out who is on the board, who's running it, what have they done, what do they plan to do, are there upcoming assessments, are they doing a good job? Like, just ask 1,000 questions. Your goal in the due diligence process is to ask as many questions of everybody around. Go meet the neighbors, right? I mean, just get so involved in that deal and opportunity that you're going to know in and out every single thing about that property. And if there's anything that comes up that is really alarming, you still have the opportunity to back out in the due diligence process, as long as it's for a legitimate reason. But there are a million legitimate reasons that you could back out of a deal at any point in time. You just need to start by asking a lot of questions. This is also the point in time where you would line up a property management company if you are going that route. I choose to manage all my properties myself. That might change one day or whatever, but it's to each his own. If you're lining up a property management, I would start interviewing them and getting quotes and like saying, hey, here's the address of this property. What would you charge me to maintain that? Learn about them, maybe talk to some of their other customers and stuff like that. And really do due diligence, not only on the property you're buying, but also the property management company, because you're going to be married to these guys for quite some time. So you want to know that it's a good quality company and it's a nice relationship. You like them, you get along with them and stuff like that. Number 7 is to rehab, rent, and refinance. Typically, if you're buying a property and you're getting a good deal on it, it's going to need some repair. It's going to need some cosmetic things, stuff like that. Maybe the kitchen's outdated, maybe the bathroom's outdated, something like that. Maybe you need to fix that up, right? One big advantage to rehabbing your rental property is that you're going to attract more quality tenants. If you think about, again, your ideal tenant profile, if you keep the property in a rundown state, that might not attract your ideal tenant, and it also might not bring in your ideal cash flow from that property, right? So to maximize the best tenant possible, to maximize your cash flow on that property, you're most likely going to need to put some money into rehab, into renovations, into updating that property and making it a very nice, clean place for somebody to live. If you're a DIY person like myself, I love to get my hands dirty on rehabbing my own properties. So I'll typically maybe hire a couple of people, bring in, but I'll actually be the main hands on deck renovating my properties. So from start to finish, I have watched maybe 2,000 YouTube videos on how to rehab stuff. And if you're a little bit handy and stuff like that, you can figure things out and do actually an incredibly good job by yourself. My first property, I watched YouTube videos for about a month before I even got started on anything and had the courage. I went out and bought myself a $2,000 truck, and I renovated our house on the weekends and the evenings while we actually lived in it. So for quite some time, we didn't have a kitchen and we were eating pizza every night and stuff like that, but it was well worth it. If you're not a DIY person, hire contractors, hire the best contractors that you can. Make sure that you interview and do due diligence on them as well. Make sure you read reviews, ask neighbors about who they recommend, like call references and stuff like that. It can be very tricky hiring contractors. It can be one of your worst nightmares dealing with the wrong contractor on your project. They could say it's going to take a month and it ends up being like 6 months, or they take all your money and run away or whatever. So make sure you do due diligence on that. And also you have to manage them as well. One thing to consider is if they're saying it's going to take a month to do X, Y, and Z, it's going to cost X, Y, and Z, make sure you tack on at least 20% on top of that figure, and then also stay on them. Make sure that they're showing up on a regular basis, make sure that they're doing what they said they were going to do, and staying on track with the overall project. Once the property is rehabbed and is in tip-top shape, it's time to find your ideal tenant. I've had a tremendous amount of success posting properties for rent on Craigslist. I also post my own properties on the MLS, and with your real estate agent, you can have them post on the MLS as well. It goes out to 1,000 different sites and locations if you're posting on the MLS. So that's a great way to get some exposure. But I found the majority of my tenants, believe it or not, via Craigslist. One thing about rentals is timing is absolutely everything. If somebody's looking for a rental, they're typically wanting to move right away. It's not usually something like, hey, I can get back to them in 2 or 3 days or something like this. Make sure you have your phone on you. Make sure you're ready to answer. If you're not available throughout the day and stuff like that, give the task to the real estate agent. They'd be more than happy to lease the property for you. In finding the proper tenant, make sure you do due diligence on your tenant as well. Make sure you're running credit checks, background checks. Make sure you know who they are. You've met them. I really have like a lot of rapport when I meet people in person. I can kind of feel if they're good energy or bad energy or whatever. So I like to meet people in advance, stuff like that. Make sure you spend a lot of time doing this. Don't rush in the first person that brings you a deposit or something like that. Make sure you find a quality person. Who knows, you might be renting for 12 months, but they might be staying in there for 15 years. You have no idea what's possible here. So make sure that you're vetting and validating, getting your ideal tenant profile here. Last part of this step is to refinance. Now this one is optional, but once you have your tenant in there, once you have a property that's fixed up, it's in much better shape than what you bought it for, and also the rental market in your location is on the up and up, then you have the option to refinance that property. Now, a couple of advantages to refinancing. Maybe the interest rates have gone lower since you purchased the property. That's possible in today's market, not very likely, but it is possible. More than likely is that the property, you've increased the value of that property. So you have the opportunity to actually cash out some of the difference in equity. So let's say I bought a house for $200,000 and I put in another $20,000 into the property, fixing it up or whatever. Now it's worth 300 grand, okay? I have a 20% down payment on that property. That is about $40,000. And because it has appreciated up to 300,000, the bank will loan me up to 80% of the value of that property. That means now the value of the property is 300,000. So I can actually pull out $20,000 out of that property and use that into my next venture, my next property. Meanwhile, the property is still continuing to cash flow on a regular basis, right? Number 8 is to manage your property. This is the second most important step after actually analyzing the deal, getting the deal and stuff like that. This is a make or break opportunity for many individuals investing in rental property. And you have to really sit down and have a conversation with yourself how invested you are into investing in your first rental property if you want to take on and bear the commitment of managing this property. You have to think about worst case scenario here. Whether it's you or a property management company that you hire, tenants can disappear and it can be vacant for quite some time. And that's going to be on you to pay that mortgage. You got to make sure that you have the reserves available to cover that. You have the reserves available to cover repairs. Make sure that you have the mental state and the capacity to manage and maintain a property. Even if you're hiring a property manager, make sure that you are staying on top of the property manager. Make sure that they're doing a good job, because nobody is going to care about your property more than you are. Now, all you have to do is repeat 6, 7, and 8. Make offers, rehab, rent, refinance, and manage well. That's it, guys. We have to repeat these steps over and over. And when you're just starting out, it might be very intimidating making your first offer and dealing with tenants and rehabbing with contractors and all this kind of stuff. And then ultimately you're a landlord now overnight and you've got tenants calling you saying that the sink's broken and stuff like that. Trust me, over time, you'll get very comfortable with this. You'll be very confident in it. You will continue to repeat steps 6, 7, and 8. And I promise you, they're going to get so much easier. And ultimately, this is going to get extremely rewarding for you. When you start seeing your monthly cash flow increase on a regular basis, month after month after month, and you look at the valuations of your properties going up and up and up, I promise you, you're going to really have an incredible experience realizing your true potential and really ultimately living your dreams through investing in real estate. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, please subscribe to my channel and thumbs up the video. It really helps the YouTube algorithm promote my channel and videos to others that might be interested in content like this. Also, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my contact information as well as my website in the description. And until next time.